Well, howdy, physics sleuths and inquisitive souls, and welcome again to another episode of Dynamic Gravity. So, God has whispered in my ear yet again and gave me a revelation last night. It all came down in like an hour. And yeah, I think you guys are going to like this one. We're going to dig deep, my children, very deep into the world of time. You're not going to have any more questions about time, like what it is, how it works, blah, 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 time travel, everything. I'm going to answer everything. I'm just going to lay it all out in this episode, lecture. And I'm not going to lie, this is probably going to be my longest episode or lecture yet. And I don't like that. In case you haven't figured out yet, I have severe brain damage for getting blown up in Iraq. And the longer I speak, the more my epileptic tic kicks in, and the more I cough and dry heave and vomit uncontrollably until I die. So, hence one of the many reasons why I drink. And speaking of, that reminds me, my Warner octopus is telling me White Shark is coming back around. Woohoo! White Shark! He's coming to check your pace, man. He's gonna make sure you keep your pace, or else ain't no slacking off when White Sharky Poo is around. Okay? Because let's be honest, White Shark, he don't play no games. He ain't no general relativity lover. Usually I do like a blend of like 50-50. I know. I'm Irish. We're crazy with the booze, man. We don't even feel it anymore. But I'm thinking if I mix these two together, like it can't be that bad, right? I mean, it just can't be. Like I'm pretty sure there's a saying where it's like if you mix your liquors, then you're gonna live forever or something. I don't know. I was a bartender for like 8 years, so you can take my word on the down low on that. It's okay to mix your liquors, children. What's the worst that could possibly happen? Like seriously. Okie dokie. So, I'm going to be revealing in this lecture the inner workings of time and space itself on a level that you probably don't understand. And it is going to coincidentally end up coinciding with Albert Einstein and his work on time dilation for good reason because his math is legit. His math is a mathematician. Einstein is well above me. I recognize this, and I would never call myself his equal on the playground of mathematics. But as a physicist, shut the fuck up and sit down, my bitch. You don't know what you're fucking doing. Sorry, the booze. I'm a rager. All right. So, let's get on with this. Slay this dragon. Okay. Now, let's begin where we always begin because you got to have a good base, a good solid standing to set on, or you're going to obviously go in the wrong direction. So, as always, we're going to go to good old Wikipedia. I love them, but they hate me. It is what it is. Love and hate. So, time dilation is the difference in lapse in time measured between two clocks because of relative velocity between them, a special relativity, or difference in gravitational potentials. This is true. Now, their reasoning for explaining this is complete bullshit and makes zero sense. And we're going to dig into a lot of this. We're going to dig into everything at the time. Fucking everything. We're going nuts. Lorentz factor predicted several authors, blah, blah, blah. Lorentz is involved in this equation with time. That's how it was derived. I believe that's how Einstein derived it. Time dilation caused by relative velocity. So, excuse me, this is the faster you go, the more time dilation you have to suffer, okay? And the equal goes to with being in a gravitational field. But Einstein, general relativity, cannot tell you why this is. There is no mechanism to explain this. All can do is show you graphs and say, look, they're linked, and if we go this and that way, then this one goes that way. And it's like, what? That is not. You're not explaining anything, dude. That doesn't explain a damn thing. You're so messed up. Okay, this is the equation. Okay, now we're not going to start this equation. I'm going to start with a very bobo equation that's going to, really pop in you guys' mind, hopefully, so you understand this on an intuitive level. As was explained to me last night when I was high out of my fucking mind. Drinking balls, playing World of Warcraft. Just wanted to do my little good old game on, and God's like, nope. Get your mind off that and on this now. And I had no choice but to obey. So, hopefully this video will strike a chord in someone's heart that's been struggling with understanding time or needs to understand time or whatever. Muons, they say, last a little bit longer than they should because of time dilation. This is totally plausible. I'm not going to refute this at all. Dynamic gravity does not refute this as being possible. I'm not saying it's accurate, but it is definitely possible, 100%. Proper time, Minkowski diagram. Yeah, and here is a derivation of the formula, so we know it's a real deal. It's legit. There we go, right here, the good old formula derived from temporal part of Lorentz transformation. Okay, all right. So it looks like this is the original starting, what they're going with, from A to B, roughly. Here's a chart just kind of showing you the curvature. It's just basically a x squared exponential thing. Well, it does start at 1. Funny to notice, it doesn't start at 0. It starts at 1, and that's because the way that the formula works out everything. Hyperbolic motions, clock hypothesis. Yeah, they're saying clocks take at different speeds, blah, 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 when they go faster, and gravity. And they confirm this. There's an experiment. Where's the experiment at? Yeah, experimental testing. Heffley and Keating in 1971 flew cesium atomic clocks east and west on commercial airliners around the world to compare them, and then had a control in the U.S. And the results were not perfect, but definitely proving time dilation. They should have lost 40 seconds and gained 275 seconds. And they actually lost 59 seconds, a little bit more, or my bad, nanoseconds, and 273 nanoseconds, which is more than they were expecting. Kind of odd. But, I mean, I think they got a Nobel Peace Prize for that. They proved, time dilation is real. Einstein is true when he's talking about time dilation being a thing, but he doesn't know why it is. He just knows it is. And I'm going to show you, I think, the rabbit hole that Einstein dove headfirst into to get this ball rolling so you guys can understand what's going on. But first, we got to know where we're starting from, okay? And there's also time dilation from gravitational effects. These, however, yeah, I think it's like this right here is the main formula. I don't know why it's got all these derivatives and blah, 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 but yeah, this is, what was this, like Minkowski or something? The 2gm divided by, was it Ri? Maybe that's Ricci or something. Speed of light squared. That's all just relativistic formula for it. And the best way to think of the math of general relativity is it is extremely complicated so that it can calculate the entire trajectory of an object, as it travels and transverses through gravitational fields and how those fields are going to affect it. At no point ever in general relativity formula is there a space-time constant. Now, they've broken it up to try and make it look like there is, but there isn't. There 100% is not a space-time constant in general relativity because space-time doesn't exist. That's just their monkey mind trying to explain the math, and they can't do it because they don't understand what gravity is. And if you are new to my channel and don't understand what gravity is, I'm going to leave a link to all my papers in the description, and you can read them for yourself, and then you'll know exactly what level I'm on when I talk about this stuff. And you might want to listen because I am the only human to ever live that can perfectly calculate gravity, dark matter, and dark energy with the same formula. Perfectly. Everywhere. And I can explain it. And it all makes sense. And it's all congruent with known established physics. So if you want to be a dirty JR lover, go right ahead. I mean, to each their own. But where does that math lead you? You try and go to Andromeda, and it's off into freaking middle of deep space, lost forever, and you die. If you use my math and you're doing space travel, you get where you're going. Einstein's math, bye-bye. So something I would think about if you're thinking that I'm full of shit and I'm stupid and Einstein is God and his ghost cock tastes so great. Just saying. Okay. Well, let's get this started then. So, this is our old work we were doing on, what was this? I remember I was so drunk. I was so blitzed on pills. What is this math for? Z, redshift. Okay, that's what this is for. This was my work that I created a new mathematical construct to define redshift, and it actually works. It plays nice with physics and my theory. But don't imagine me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm stupid. Okay, so let us first explain time, what it is, okay? And let us begin with where it always begins, with dynamic gravity, the electron. We have an electron. Boop, boop. And the electron doesn't like to be alone. It's codependent. So the first up quark that it encounters, it is going to attach onto. And then, together, they are going to form the properties of what we call a down quark. Okay? But this isn't even enough because the electron has much more negative charge than this one up quark has a positive charge. I believe it's 1 to 3 to be specific. So what's going to happen is you're going to have 2 more up quarks. Excuse me. They're going to come in and they're going to want to attach to this, like this, okay? And this electron is going to keep bouncing between these quarks, fighting for control of it. And that's why they say that the down quark is constantly rotating in the core of a proton. It's because the electron that kind of composites the down quark and the up quark is constantly being ripped out and reallocated to the other quarks in that proton. So it's never really stable in that way. It's always kind of this constant flux game of the neighbor stealing it, and that neighbor stealing it, you steal it from the neighbor, and it just keeps going and forever and ever and ever, infinity. Yay, physics. Okay, so that is what a proton is, and that is something that you will not learn from anyone else in physics. They will not tell you that. Crucial facts, but that is the way it is. So you're going to have an electron. It's going to want to go around this proton, okay? Now, time, we have these right here in a spatial system, we could argue, if we really wanted to, okay? Or we could have this like, boop, boop, boop. You know, we could all make this a graph and give these like axes, you know, x, z, y, blah, blah, blah. And now we have mathematically described our universe in a three-dimensional space, okay? Any change in that space is going to be time, all right? So any change at all is going to be a measurable partition of time. So let's say this electron is like, you never loved me, I'm going away. Okay? It moved. It moved from here to here. And in doing so, time has been created and established. Okay? Now, by that definition, any system that is completely static and inert to change is by definition frozen in time and heavily time dilated or not experiencing time. But you have to remember, this is tricky, okay? Because you could make your electron the anchor and say, well, the electron didn't move, it just stayed still. And so I don't believe any time has passed, blah, 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 blah. Cool story, bro. But there was still motion involved. There was still change. Change of this electron constantly being ripped apart and you know, attracted to all these constant up quarks. So there's lots of motion and change occurring in the protons of all atoms constantly, like infinitesimally, not infinitesimally, but very, very extremely fast. Just and this is time. Any change in the system is by definition a measurement of time. Okay? That's what time is. Change in your mathematical construct that you are using to calculate whatever system you have. Okay? Don't overthink it. It's not this super crazy realm or magical power or whatever. It is simply this going here. Going here. Boop. Time. You've created time. Time has passed. Change is time. They are synonymous. Time is just a mathematical definition of change. Is probably the best way to think about it. Okay? So, now, we're going to explain what time dilation is caused from, what is really going on. Okay? Not the bullshit that general relativity tells you, because they don't know. Okay? So, these atoms, okay, that are above absolute zero, which is essentially every freaking atom in the known universe that I explained from neutrinos in my video explaining neutrinos and photons. Very mind-breaking, earth-shattering, physics-breaking video. If you want to get your mind blown, that's a good one too. Okay? And we learn a lot. We learn a lot in that video. So, any movement, any heat is movement of the atom. So by definition, heat is a form of time in its own way. Not exactly translated over, but it is an off branch of it. Sort of, yes, it is. So heat is just movement of the atom jiggling internally, okay? And as this electron moves, it is going to release photons. Boop, 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 bop, bop. Okay? And these photons are going to go wherever. Okay? Boop. Well, There are these reverse photons called photons, is what I've named them. Photons that come from the proton. And the very low wavelength ones, not the only ones you can really get short of nuclear fission or fusion, are essentially what I believe is currently regarded as virtual photons. Okay? I believe photons are are fulfilling the role of virtual photons at certain frequencies. But photons is a very generic explanation of any electromagnetic radiation that emits from a proton. Okay? But long story short, this is effectively your gravity waves. Okay? Is your photons, your virtual photons being emitted from the protons of atoms. And these are going to interact with mainly electrons. They also interact with protons too, but they will interact with electrons mostly because the electron shell surrounds the atom and is going to act as a shield reacting with whatever hits it. Okay? And this creates gravity. Well, let's do a thought experiment. Okay? Let's say we have a buttload of gravity, just like a whole buttload, and then another buttload behind that. Just buttload after buttload of gravity waves or photons, virtual photons, just coming at it. All right. Okay. And it's just like now, as let's say we have another photon coming in from this crazy angle, like a higher wave, like visible light. And he's coming right here. And he's like, I want to interact with you. Well, there's a problem. This electron is going to be busy interacting with these photons, these other virtual photons, these gravitons. That's the way to think of gravitons. Okay? These gravitons, it's going to be reacting with these as they fly by in their own way. And the more that fly by, the more they're going to be interacting with this electron. And that is going to ultimately inhibit its ability to interact with this photon. Okay? That's coming in, this visible photon that's going to excite this electron, not make it go higher. No, 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 no. It's going to give it higher energy state, make it go lower, change the charge. It's going to go closer to the atom, and then release that energy, and then release another photon identical to the one it swallowed in real time as it comes out. I explain this whole process when I do my deep dive on photons. Okay? If you haven't watched that video, that's a really good mind-blowing one too. That one will change your world in physics, my friend. Okay? So, remember, what happens when this electron changes, when it moves, when its energy state changes, its charge changes, it absorbs a photon and re-emits it. That's time. Okay? So, if it is inhibited or slowed down from doing this, because you have a buttload of gravitons that are interacting with it and basically sucking up all of its time, so it can't play nice with the photon. It can't move in real time. It's going to be dragging behind and slow because it's got to interact with these gravitons too. And when you combine them together, it just slows everything down like molasses. Okay? It's kind of like if I hit this electron with force from this way, boop, boop, it's going to go down. But if I hit it, boop, boop, equal forces, boop, boop, from all sides, I have 3 times the amount of force hitting this electron is what I did when this one vector of force was hit it and made it go down. But because they're all hitting it together, this electron's not going anywhere. It's going to be like in an equilibrium state. It's just going to sit there and not move at all. So even though we have work being done and force being transferred, there is no measurable change in the system by the instruments that we are using. And right now, the most accurate instrument we use to measure time is an atomic clock, like a cesium clock, whatever. Okay? So, and the way that works is, guess what? You are hitting cesium, exciting it with like, I don't know, laser beam or some energy beam, and that is making this cesium atom constantly spit out photons. And they're measuring the rate of these photons, and that is how they get the tick-tock, 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 tick-tock of the clock and make it into a clock, okay? But if you are being slowed down from that process and inhibited it by gravitons interacting with your electrons and protons and everything really that they interact with, then effectively this is going to slow down and conducting those processes until eventually it is so overwhelmed that it is just frozen in time. You are having so many gravitons interact with this that it can't interact with this at all, or it's doing it so slowly that it's essentially frozen. It cannot interact with anything. It is frozen in time. And that is the most extreme version of time dilation. And it can happen 2 ways. It can happen that you're in a gravitational field that is, affecting this, whatever it is you have, or you could have your object traveling through a gravitational field. So this one would be from velocity, from speed, causing it. This one would be from just straight up being stuck in a gravitational field. Okay? Now, I hope that explains to you exactly what the hell is going on when there's time dilation. Okay? This is something that general relativity cannot explain to you. All right? If you ask a dirty general relativity lover, can you explain to me time dilation? They're going to do one of 2 things. They're going to be like, yeah, dude, it is a graph. And in this graph, as you can clearly see, we're going to have time and space. And as you go up in one, you go up in the other. And that is time. Any questions? And if you try and press them on this and be like, well, yeah, what the hell are you talking about, bro? Can you explain on an actual molecular subatomic level what the hell is causing time dilation and time to flow? And they can do it for you. I'll come with some story. Like, well, there's a fairy, okay, and she has wings, and her name is Tinkerbell, and she ate a burrito, and the burrito just went in her mouth, but she has digestive problems now. And now she is farting out pixie dust. Pixie dust. And the pixie dust magically interacts with woven space time and does whatever time wants it to do. That's literally all they can give you. It's pathetic. Now, let's go. Everybody's favorite portion. Start getting into the math. No, actually, before we do that, first I want to explain something. Okay. This is time dilation. Okay. This is all time dilation. This is what causes the slowing down of time effects or processes, okay? And everything that, well, not everything, there's going to be certain things that are immune from this process, like maybe neutrinos, things that don't interact with gravitons really. Although I guess maybe a neutrino would interact sometimes a little bit. Okay. But what I need you to understand is this is time dilation. This is not time travel. Okay? There is no way to travel back or forward into time in dynamic gravity. It does not exist. There is no mechanism in place. It would break my theory of gravity if it were to be possible. You cannot travel back into time. You cannot go forward into time. Now, there's a trick you can do with time dilation. If you have extreme time dilation, so much that you are effectively 100% time dilated and you're frozen in time, you're just locked in place, okay? Then theoretically, according to your perspective, you would just lay down in your time dilation chamber and go to sleep, and you would wake up and it would be 1,000 years from now, and you would not have aged 1 second. Maybe you did age a second. All depends how extreme it is. My point is, though, according to your perspective, okay, according to, we're going to break into this concept now, too. It's time. You need to spread your wings and fly, little one. According to your timeline, you would have effectively traveled into the future of time, but you didn't really skip time. You patiently waited unconsciously through the millennium of time that passed. You were just unaware of it by your observation of time. According to your timeline, you might have went forward in a time. But according to, say, a sociological timeline of your civilization, your planet, your solar system, or your galaxy, whatever, you never traveled through time. And you cannot go backwards. There is no trick or mechanism to make it feel as though you have gone backwards into time, okay? Time is also effectively can be described as the process of entropy, okay? The equilibrium of the universe is basically what entropy is. And it is a one-way process. You cannot reverse entropy, not without putting in work, serious work. Okay, I guess it's possible then. So I guess, I can't believe I'm doing this. Okay, I guess it is possible to travel back into time as long as you can control entropic processes. So let's say if you were to have, okay, let's delete this stuff. Hope you guys got this. I'm not doing it again. Okay. So you have an entropic process, okay? Like say you have a ball and you drop that ball. Boop, 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 and it hits the ground. Boop, boop, boop. And then the ball gets all squishy from the velocity. And then it goes boop, 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 and it bounces out. Boop, boop, boop. This is all just equilibrium. This ball is just trying to find equilibrium from this heightened state of energy that you started it from, okay? This is all entropy. So, if you were to physically spend work and energy to retake this ball and retrace it along its path back, boop, 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 squishy, squishy, back up, right there, started. Technically, you have reversed entropy from a certain perspective. Now, realistically, no, you did not. All you did is start a whole new entropic path going backwards that required force. You never reversed entropy. You just created new entropy that basically nullified or neutralized the old entropy, technically speaking. But there is a perspective you could say that this is effectively time travel going back in time on this particular object's timeline, okay? Now, when I introduce the concept of a timeline and dynamic gravity, you have to understand it is very specific to every process would have its own theoretical timeline, okay? You would have a different timeline than my timeline. I would have a different timeline than yours, or vice versa, than every other object and thing in the known universe, okay? And we're going to have different timelines because we're going to be exposed to different varying degrees of gravity fields, of going faster, of doing whatever. And we're just not going to be on the same timeline. We're all going to have different timelines, okay? Every object is going to technically have its own timeline. There's not one timeline. Every object has its own timeline. It's the proper way to think about it, okay? At least that's the way dynamic gravity thinks about it. And I've been able to successfully explain every damn known phenomenon that I have touched. And I think there's a reason for that. So say. Okay? So, realistically, there is no time travel, forward or backwards. But you could argue, you could play the stupid hair-splitting game. Well, but technically, if I'm going to do this, technically from this perspective, that could be considered time travel. Blah, 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 whatever. Just know this. You're never going back in time to see dinosaurs. I'm sorry. You're never going to see your favorite dinosaur in person. Not going to happen. So sorry. Not in the past, anyways. Okay? So, let us move on now to some math. Okay? Now, if we're going, we've explained what time is realistically. Okay? Now let's try and do it mathematically. Okay? And see what we get. So, remember, what did I tell you time was? Time is the change in the system that you are measuring. Okay? The system can be a whole galaxy, the system can be a planet, the system can be your room, the system can be whatever. Whatever your system is that you've designed, you calibrated it all for. Drain Bramish. Okay? Oh God, where was I? So yes, mathematically we were trying to describe time, and it is change ultimately in your system. Okay? Now, the symbol for change is in math. It's usually a little triangle. Boop, beep, bop, 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 boop. Okay? This means change. Okay? So, we have, let's say, variable x. Okay? We have x. Okay? And here's x. Boop, boop, boop. Hello, I'm x. And we're going to call this x prime. Because it's the original. It's the OG, baby. Now, x prime has experienced time. And because it is no longer the same, it has now become x dually prime? I don't know. Whatever. X quotation thingy. Whatever you want to call it. And that is because this x has moved. It's went from here to over here. Okay? So this equation is not true right now as we say it. Okay? It's not true because this x clearly does not equal this x. Okay? But if we say, if we divide it First of all, we'll say this is x prime, and in this state, he becomes x double prime. Okay, now if we group this together and say, okay, I'm going to say x prime and the work that was done, the time that elapsed, everyone say what, the movement that happened, plus x prime. If we add these two together, we now get x double prime, okay? So we are now going to pit this bad boy right here. And now our equation is true. It is accurate. X prime times the change of time is equal to nu x, neo x. I like that, neo x. Neo x, okay? Now, if we do a little basic algebra, boop, boop, bop, beep, beep, bop, boop, beep, bop. What we find is that the change in time is equal to x, neo x, divided by old dirty rotten x. Okay? This is the ultimate basic mathematical equation for time in its simplest, purest form. Okay? Change in time is equivalent to new variable divided by old variable. Okay? So, let's say this time that changed was equivalent to 2 seconds. Okay? And let's say nu x is like, am I doing this right? Yeah. Let's say nu x is 2, or new x is 4, old x is 2, okay? So what we got is this would be 2 is equal to 4 divided by 2. Now, this mathematical equation is correct that I've just willed into existence with good old GOD leading me. Then this would hold true. And is 2 divided into 4 equals 2. It works. The math works. Now, this brings in this equation we can play with, and we can learn something. We can learn time dilation from this equation of time. Okay? Let me explain. All right? So, let's delete this. Let's say we're gonna have 0 velocity. Okay? So, old x is always going to be 1. The loneliest number of all. 1. Okay? Beep, bop, bop, bop. Boop, beep. 1. Nu x. It doesn't matter what nu x is. If we're at 0 velocity, not moving, so your prime x is always 1. It can't be 0 because you can't have a 0 denominator. Don't be a clown, okay? This is the way it works. It has to be start at 1. Let's say it's a 1. Maybe you could do definitely not a 0, but you could maybe do like a 0.1 or something. But okay, say 1. Let's say our nu x is 10 units, okay? I probably should have said that word earlier so you know what the hell I'm talking about. Units. X variable is 1 unit. The new X variable is 10 units, okay? Now, you could describe units as anything, meters, okay? You could say that old X was 1 meter, 1 meter, boop, boop. And then the new X, when it was all said and done with its movement, its change, it was 10 meters, okay? Boop, boop. 10 meters. Doesn't matter what unit. Use any unit you want. Just know it has to be calibrated off of a unit or you're going to have a ratio. Okay? So, let's say we have X moved 10 meters. All right? 1 divided into 10 equals 10. So, change in time is equal to 10, basically. Okay? Change or time is equal to 10. So that means that basically, let's say we're doing 1 meter per second. Okay? That means 10 seconds have elapsed. And this calculation of this particular instance of non-zero velocity and just pure acceleration of 10 meters per second. If you accelerate 10 meters per second, then you have 1 second. But we have done, what is it? Yeah, change is equal to 10. So we're probably just going a constant rate of 1 meter every second moving 10 meters. So we have 10 seconds have elapsed, okay? If we're going to do seconds, time is seconds. But you know what? This equation would also work if it were done in minutes. I mean, you obviously would have to make sure that these units are in coordination, but yes, this will work. Minutes, hours, days, months, eons, epochs, whatever, dude. It's all the same, okay? So this is calculating time at its most purest form, okay? We just did that. And I've shown you. And the faster, the more change we introduce into the system, let's say we bring this up to 100, right? We got 1 divided by 100. Now you get 100 time units, 100 seconds, whatever, 100 whatever, 100 time units. That's what you now have. So you can see, the more acceleration that you have from zero, the more time that will elapse. This is how time works. Kind of a linear thing. Okay. Now, what happens if we mess around with this equation? Okay. What happens if I delete all this because it displeases me? Go away. And I am like, okay, this is where shit's about to get for real, son. Don't blink. So, we still want to calculate our formula, okay? But now we have an object that has acceleration. It already has a momentum of change behind it from the change additionally that you introduced beyond that. All right? Okay? So, let's say we've got x prime, and he is equal to, he's not 1 anymore. He's moving. He's not sitting still. He's not 1. He's moving. And he's moving really freaking fast, mate. He's moving really, really fast. How fast, you ask? X1 is now moving 1 million? Sec? Yeah, we'll do a billion. No, I love a million. A million. Okay. And now X neo x, he's going to have the same momentum as x prime because that's where he came from, but he's also going to have even more now because there's more change in the system introduced. So let's say he was the same distance that we went last time, which would be 100. Okay, so we have x prime is 1 million, x neo x is 1,100,000. Okay, now we type this into my snifty wifty calculator. We get, it's always got to be neo x divided by x prime. So it's neo x. 100 divided by, I mean, I think I messed this up. I think I did 100,000 instead of 1 million, but whatever. Nah, you deserve better. I'm going to do this right. I'm going to do this right. We're going to do this right. 1 million. 1 million. And then 100? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's totally right. Yeah, I knew I would mess it up twice in a row. Now, divide by 1 million. Now before, remember last time we had 100 units of time that elapsed for this same change, a change of 100 units from x prime to neo x, okay? A change of 100 units, and we had 100 parsecs of time passed by. Remember? Now look what it is that we've introduced extreme velocity into the mix. 1.001. Okay? Now, I know that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but we have just introduced the most severe time dilation ever recorded in our solar system. Truth. That's how severe of time dilation that is. And if we go, we keep going and do this. Let's say we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so 10 zeros, all right? 10 zeros, 11 zeros. Bucket, 11 zeros. Divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Brain damage, people. I'm borderline retarded in certain things, sorry. Okay. Now, if we introduce even faster, look at that. Look at that. Now, it goes even lower. But we've gone faster. Why is it going lower? The time dilation as we go faster. This equation is not right. This equation, although it's its most simplistic and purest form, is not describing reality. Okay? And so when I start to fuck around, I realize, okay, I'm going to have a fucking, velocity divided by a speed limit, -1, and under a denominator and blah, blah, blah. And that's what's going to get me the exact curve that I know that it's going to be. And when we do that, we get basic time dilation formula. This is where it ultimately ends. This is the correct formula. Dynamic gravity does not dispute that. I just wanted to show you this so you would understand the exact nuances and intricacies of what the hell this thing is trying to say. Okay? This is basically the refined version of this that actually works. Okay? So basically, in the end, what ends up happening is you get this exponential curve. Okay? It starts at 1. The faster you go to the speed of light, the faster or the more extreme the time dilation. And once you get to 1, you're at 100% time dilation. You effectively have 0 time affecting that system. Okay? And you can see, you have to get pretty damn fast where you even start noticing it. Like, you have to get, like, what, 30% of the speed of light to just get a measly couple percent difference. You know, we're talking like 30% the speed of light, brah. And once you get to 90% the speed of light, you're effectively 50-50 at that point. And then it's just all downhill. Okay? So, that is ultimately how you get to this formula of time dilation and what it's trying to tell you. Okay? The faster you go, the more time dilation that you have. You can see it right here. It's telling you. It's saying, the faster you go, the more something's going to happen. That's what this equation is telling you. Because when we take away the velocity and we just have it at 0, then we don't have this. Actually, my bad. I think this is actually extremely contorted at 0. It's at extremely high velocities when this one works out to be very low, which is what you don't want. It's the opposite. But yeah. So basically, I'm losing my train of thought now. It's so long video. What you need to understand from this is that this right here is proving that the faster you go, the less time that will be allowed to elapse. So the faster you go, the smaller increments of time you can have elapse, the more time dilation that you have. Okay? Yeah. I hope that explains that. Okay, now we're moving on. I got notes here because there's so much stuff happened all so quickly. Okay? Tracks object's trajectory displaying its full timeline only relative to that object. I think we've gone over that. Faster you go, the slower time passes. This is mathematical time dilation, but never time travel. Okay, I think we just went over that. And no matter how fast you go, no matter how times C you go, you will always have a positive value for time. Okay, so this is to show you that whole, like, Superman 3 movie, whatever, where Superman, like, went so fast, he traveled around there faster than the speed of light, so fast that he reversed time. Blah, blah, blah. No. Okay? When we take this equation, if we have a velocity, let's say the speed of light, okay? This is what we also need to go into. Why the speed of light? Why did he use the speed of light? It's simple. This equation only works if you have an upper limit to ratiofy it from, okay? And we know that most everything in physics wants to travel at the speed of light, subatomically anyways. And most things do. And we know that the speed of light is essentially about as fast as anything we know can travel. Okay? Now, according to my theory of gravity, you can travel faster than the speed of light under specific criteria, but it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, and I don't mean energy like Einstein means energy. I mean, you have to basically nullify gravity. You have to shield gravity is what you have to do if you want to travel faster than the speed of light. You have to nullify gravity completely, or it's going to destroy you. It's going to wreck you. And then you might have to deal with the neutrinos. And once you nullify gravity, shield gravity, and now you have to deal with neutrino bombardment. Oh my goodness. Woo! Not easy to travel fast in the speed of light, ladies and gentlemen, but you can absolutely do it 100% if you can just protect yourself and shield yourself from gravity. All right. So it's an arbitrary speed limit, realistically, because you can travel faster than the speed of light. It's not a speed limit. But we know that the speed of light is what most things we play with, like photons and neutrinos and electrons, want to travel at the speed of light. That's what they want, to be traveling the speed of light. So if you have an equation that it demands a speed limit to calibrate this entire equation off of. All right? That's what I learned last night. And it doesn't have to be this, but if you don't use this, you might get slightly different. But keep in mind, look at these numbers, dude. Look at it. Freaking 90% the speed of light to get 50-50? Do you really think you're going to notice if you use another number that's going to, miscalibrate this by 10%? Really, dude? You really think you're going to be able to calculate this or see this in observation? Really? But is the speed of light the best calibration for this equation? I think so. I think Einstein got it right. I really do. He's a terrific mathematician. I would never challenge him in a battle of Rochambeau to mathematics. I would not do it. Now, physics, yeah. I'll put him in a headlock and shove his face in the freaking toilet and give him a swirly and be like, say uncle, say uncle. I don't care. He ain't my equal, son. He ain't my equal. But on math, I'm not even. I believe Einstein is math. I believe that he called it right when he chose the speed of light is the speed calibration limit for this mathematical construct that he has created. I believe that. And I'm sure after my explanation, you have some sort of idea of why that is, why it's relevant, why it has to happen, and everything. Okay? So, but just to show you, let's say the speed of light. Okay? Let's say the speed of light. We can make it anything we want, bro. It doesn't have to be the speed of light. Just to show you this, okay? Let's say c squared, v squared divided by c squared, okay? Let's say the velocity is 5, okay? It's 5 squared. 5 squared. Where would I be? 25, okay. And it's divided by our arbitrary speed limit, which let's say is 1, okay? We're just doing ratios at this point. We don't care about numbers. We're just doing ratios. It's still going to work out properly. It's just not going to be in the same dimensions as meters per second or whatnot, all right? It's still going to be the same, though. So 1 squared is 1. So 1 divided into 25 is equal to 1. We're keeping it simple so your stupid monkey mind can track this, okay? So my stupid monkey mind can track this. I'm not that intelligent, bro. I have to keep it simple. I don't know what the frick is going on. Okay? So now we got 25 minus from 1, okay? Clear. 1 minus 25. That's going to give us like what? Negative 24? Now we're going to do the square root of negative 24. Error. I don't even think it will let me do it. Yeah, error. Doesn't want to do it. But know this. You can do the square root of a negative number. Because ultimately the square is itself times itself to make that. And a negative times a negative makes a positive. This is where imaginary numbers come from. Because, well, how do you know it was positive if it was squared? It could have been a negative number. Oh, God, it's so annoying. But they're right. They're not wrong when they go on that tangent. They do have a valid point. As obscure as it may be, it is validated, nonetheless. Okay. Now, so the faster we go beyond the speed of light, it does not change. It does not break the equation, okay? So let's say we got, since it doesn't want to do that. Okay, 4.89, 4.9. All right, 4.9 divided by your change in time, which would probably be very, very small. Okay, so you would have a very, very small number, which means you would have very, very, very little change in time. Very little change in time. Much more less change in time than you would have had if you were just simply going under your speed limit, your arbitrary speed limit, which is Einstein set as the speed of light. Rightfully so. I'm not debating that. But you see what I'm trying to get at? It's arbitrary. This is a ratio. Ratios don't give a shit about units until you specify a unit. Okay? That's what this is, ultimately, if you understand the language of mathematics. You got to make love to your mathematics book at least once, maybe twice, before you understand that. Okay. So, it does not matter do you go faster than the speed of light, according to this equation. It does not break. It just means that your time dilation becomes even that much more extreme. And while you may argue it may never be 100%, you could have some pretty severe extreme time dilation, like 99.99999999999999999%. You know what I mean? Not 100%, but it might as well be, because that's enough that you can take a nap in a sarcophagus and wake up, 2,000 years later, at only age maybe, I don't know, a couple seconds or something. Not that much, really. Not that much. So, that explains that, okay? There is no speed limit. It's not like you cannot go faster than the speed of light. Now, there is an equation for relativistic speed, wherever the Einstein has it, pits the speed of light, the speed limit, because the faster you go, the more energy you need. That is true if your object is not shielded by gravity, or shielded from gravity. If it's shielded from gravity, that does not work. Because, here's something I want to show you, kiddies. All right. Gotta go dark mode. There are multiple versions of equations for mass, okay? All right, here's one right here. Mass divided by force divided by acceleration, okay? And then there is force, blah, 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 mass, whatever. It probably was not the best one I could have picked, but I said, let's see what this one. Oh, look at all these ones. Look at how many mass ones these ones have. Mass from density and volume, okay? That is the mass that Einstein uses in his equation for relativistic mass, okay? That's the mass he's thinking of, is you have an object whose value is intrinsic and defined by its density and volume and nothing else. But if you include gravity into the mix, because gravity is the molasses slowing down your object as it tries to approach the speed of light, the equation you actually want to use, look at this, so mass divided, what is that? Electric divided by C squared? I don't know. I mean, look at all these different forms of mass. But this is the one you want to use, right, for gravity. For my theory of gravity, dynamic gravity, this is the one you want. Mass is equal to weight divided by G. This is the value of mass when it is in a gravitational field, okay? And if you can reduce the gravitational field to 0, you now reduce in this equation. I go off on one of my papers if you read them down in the description, and I go off into this and many other things. And that is the ultimate flaw of Einstein and why he believes you cannot travel fast at the speed of light. If you integrate this definition of mass into Einstein's relativistic mass equation, it basically says that, hey, dude, once you shield gravity at 100%, your formula is bullshit. It doesn't apply anymore. That's basically what it says. It says, oh, sorry, this doesn't apply anymore. He has successfully shielded from gravitational effects. Your equation is not valid, sir. That's what it says. But if you use the one Einstein chose, density and volume, then it's always applicable because mass always has these attributes. It never changes. Okay? Does that make any sense? I hope I'm making sense. I'm not just speaking to myself. But you can see these are different equations. Like force divided by acceleration. I thought there was only 3. There's 5 different formulas for mass. My goodness. Learn something new every day, kids. I don't know everything yet, but I'm working on it. And I'm getting there slowly but surely. Maybe one day the good Lord will let me approach my goal. Okay? So, let's move on. I think we're actually approaching endgame here, which is, pretty impressive. This one has been a very daunting lecture for me, but we were going to get through this. I promise you, children. Okay. Faster, blah, 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 formula of time dilation, true time. Negative square root cancels out. But for this formula, we must set a limit, no matter how absurdly high. Okay, yep, that's where we go into the limits. Okay, we got that covered. Okay. Yeah. This is a concept I should probably go over too with this equation, right? Is if you set your limit low, then you will have low time dilation effects. If you set the limit high, like an absurdly high number, like the speed of light, then you can have extremely high time dilation effects that make current time very small. Okay? So that's why it's important to get this speed limit right. But the higher the speed limit is, the more accurate it is, as most ratio formulas go. The larger you go, the more accurate. As you go small, the ratio is off big time. But as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, the ratio shrinks and zooms in right to its, right where it's supposed to be. So him using absurdly high speed limit, like speed of light, is the way to go, 100%. I think he called it right. I think Einstein got this one right. Not so sure about the others. Okay. All right. If you choose C, the speed limit, some's the fastest. And any faster won't allow information trade. Yeah, this is what I have to go into now. Okay. That's another good reason to choose C as the speed of light as your limit for this equation, because if you go faster than the speed of light, even though according to my theory of gravity, dynamic gravity, you can go faster than the speed of light. But if you do, it's not going to help you in certain avenues and aspects, okay? A photon cannot interact with an object going faster than itself. It just cannot do that. So, any form of information trade is impossible once you go faster than the speed of light. Okay? You cannot learn any new information about the universe when you are going faster than the speed of light. Everything is a giant, bright white blur. That's it. Okay? When an object travels faster than the speed of light, like I'm sure you've seen videos of UFOs, like, that's bullshit. It's not bullshit, not all of them. And they go off, pew! And you see this bright flash, pew! Almost like a flash of lightning. The object has transcended or gone faster than the speed of light, okay? And because of that, no information can be gleaned from it. It will emit energy that will be white light, just light, whatever, coming out. But there will be no discernible information. So all these ridiculous Thought you have two spaceships, and each one has a window of a twin, and they're waving at each other. And as they travel faster and faster with speed of light, their wave slows down. Yeah, dude, this is all bullshit, okay? As you travel faster and faster towards the speed of light, the photon's ability to interact and trade information and teach you things about whatever this object is going to diminish greatly. Okay? And once you get at the speed of light and past the speed of light, it's completely gone. So if there is a spaceship that is traveling faster than the speed of light, even if he has a huge bay window, and you had a camera that could theoretically take a picture faster than the speed of light, you would not get any information. Nothing would come. It would be either completely invisible, like it's not even there, or it would just be a white blur. That's it. You cannot have information trade when you're going faster than the speed of light. And this is something to think about, my son. If you make a spaceship that can go faster than the speed of light because you listen to me and you understand what I'm talking about and you believe me and you're not a dirty relativity believer, then anytime you travel faster than the speed of light, you're not going to be able to see where you're at or where you're going. Okay? You're going to get zero information gleaned from anything. So you better damn know when to pull off the throttle and stop that ship, or you're going to come crashing into a planet and kill everybody. It's a very dangerous game, exceeding the speed of light. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of things that don't want you to go faster than the speed of light. A lot of problems that have to be solved. But I'm working on it. That's my goal. Just to show you what I got going on. I got It's got a nice little DC power supply and AC power supply. I haven't given up on the Gravnetic Field Dream. I'm still getting what I need, consolidate it to make this happen. My DC will be able to go up to 100,000 volts. My AC like 30,000 volts. We'll see. We'll see what sort of plasma beams I can get going with this sort of thing. We'll see. It's coming. It's in the pipeline, my children. Don't worry. Sooner or later, we'll get there. Never give up. Never surrender. Okay? So, you cannot have any information trade if you go faster than the speed of light. It will just be a blur of light, okay? Photons can't do anything going faster than the speed of light. No information trade. You cannot see where you're going. And I think that brings us to everything that I want to talk about today. If you still have any questions about time, feel free to leave them in the comments. I think I've pretty much nailed it, dude. I think I've pretty much covered all the bases. I think you should have a really good understanding of exactly what time is, how we calculate it, what's going on, how to play with it, how to mess with it, what it means, blah, 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 blah. And I'm gonna get drunk and play some video games now, because that's all I do. And if you made it this far and you watched this whole video, I want you to know I'm serious. I love you. You're my number one, forever and ever and ever. And with that, I bid you adios, farewell. Until the next time, I got a few videos planned the pipeline that I want to really get out there because it's important information. But I don't know, it comes when it comes and it goes when it goes. I do what I do. I am what I am. It be what it be. Adios, muchachos.
Like, subscribe, submit.